IVM.
Welcome to Audio Gyan with Kedar Nimkar, a podcast that documents insightful conversations with Indian designers, artists, musicians, writers, thinkers, and creatives of all types. Catch us on iTunes or visit audiogyan.com for more Gyan sessions. Here's your host, Kedar Nimkar.
Today I have Mohini Mukherjee with us on AudioGan. Mohini is a self-taught designer and illustrator from Mumbai and now based in Bangalore. She runs Indian Gig Poster Archive, a repository of posters created to promote independent music in India. She has been an exclusive artist at Kultureshop as well. Her work is affectionately dismissive of the pop culture and its common visual tropes and motifs. So, to understand more about her project, this audiogan is mainly to document a case study of her project or a side project we can call Indian Gig Poster Archive. So, thanks, Mohini, for giving your time, and it's a real pleasure to have you on audiogan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kedar, for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, I wanted to just understand what's your project about, and if you can start by telling us what is Indian Gig Poster Archive, and then I have like bunch of other questions related to this project particularly. And I have three formats. So one is a regular interview, one is sort of I called it as in audiogan case studies, and one is audiogan biography. So in case study, I try and go deep into a project or a solution or like some sort of a innovation which is brought into design or any particular side project as well.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is to document the insights and the learnings which you have from going through like some sort of a project on the side. So yeah, this is like a case study.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you start with telling us what's Indian Gig Poster Archive all about?
Sure. So, Indian Gig Poster Archive is like a little pet project of mine. I started it last year. The idea came to me maybe in December of 2018. I just quit my job and I was looking for things to occupy my time. And then I started building it in about January, and over the course of 3 months, I ended up building this website. The URL is indiangigposterarchive.in. So once you go to this website, it's basically a collection of a lot of the gig posters that have been being made across the years throughout India to promote independent music gigs that happen over here. And there's a huge number of these being made. Like it's not like one gig poster per week or something. There's like tens, dozens of these being churned out every week. And I just realized there was no central place that had all of these represented for someone to go look up or just to explore or even to find different designers from. So I decided to like basically I really love these gig posters. I thought they were beautiful, and the kind of artists and designers I was working with at that time, they were also like delighted by it. So I knew how to build a website. I knew some of these designers, and I thought it would be nice to build a website that showcases all of their work that goes into this and that doesn't really get put out in front of an audience otherwise. So that's when I started building it. By about March 2019, it was built out, and I launched it then with like a small video and an Instagram page. And apart from that, obviously, there's the website. So now it's been about a year. It's only had an online presence so far. We did one like mini pop up with some posters, but it's basically an online archive of the posters that are created for independent music in India. And I think as of now, we have about 600 posters and they're constantly being
Wow.
updated. And we have about 25 artists. All the artists are credited on the website because that's the point of it. And it's always open to submission and stuff. So yeah, it's just a continuously building archive.
But how did the idea come about? I mean, because you're an illustrator and a designer, so how did the music scene happen?
So actually, before I was an illustrator and a designer, I was doing writing when I was in college, and I was an intern. So I was interning with a music magazine at that point, and obviously, as an intern, you do everything. So I started picking up design and stuff over there, also illustration too. And basically, I had been going to music gigs for a really long time. I had a lot of friends who worked in it. I had a lot of I worked with a lot of people who were heavily invested in the scene, and there have always been artists and designers, like creative kids who have wanted to be around musicians, who have wanted to go to gigs, who have enjoyed the kind of community that that scene provides. And a lot of them would respond to it more and more in the last few years. But honestly, as long as there have been bands, there have been fan art, right? So people would be
Mm-hmm.
like responding to it with their art. A lot of these people would get picked up to create gig posters then, and it was the kind of like perfect storm where the musicians were not hiring like big time artists or designers, or that they didn't have big labels to create like posters and promotions for them. So they were looking for someone small and independent. And these independent artists and designers, a lot of whom were young and were just getting started, they wanted like a creative outlet, that kind of satisfied them, because a lot of us get stuck with agency work, client work. They might pay better, but they're not as rewarding as, say, being able to design a poster for your favorite band. So I knew how that felt. I knew a lot of these artists and designers already because I worked at Cultureshop, where a lot of my work was coordinating with them. I was a curator over there. And they would create gig posters, they would be beautiful. And I realized that I would never be able to put them on display or sell them in any way because they were created for a specific band and for a specific event. And then I just got to thinking, I was like, I'm the only person who's like sitting and looking at all of these and enjoying them. The illustrators are enjoying them by themselves, and a small group of people who kind of follow these bands and these illustrators are seeing it, but it deserves to be seen by like a much bigger audience. And I knew I had the skills to put it together. I knew the people. So then I realized like I needed to do something about it, and I built the archive from there, because the idea was always to give it like a permanent home, because it's not like you can't find these. You can look for them, but you have to know what you're looking for. You have to like specifically search for gig posters for this band, and you'll find them on like a Facebook event page or something. My website basically gives you like a central place where you can go look it up by band, by year, by designer, and then you can go look those people up too from the website.
Hmm. Very interesting. Cool, cool. So, like that brings me to the same. Like, actually, I had another question. So, are there any other, as in, like, how do you store these on your website? I mean, what's like a archiving practice that you follow? Is it categorized by year, genre, geography?
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a follow-up question on that. That how do you source these? But maybe if you can, since you've mentioned about like there are filters
Mm-hmm.
to discover these posters.
Yeah.
So what's the process like of archiving,
Mm-hmm.
or at least if you can actually tell us the entire process itself? So how do you source it, and then how do you need any permissions from these people?
Mm-hmm.
uh, how do they give you, what's the format? If you stumble upon something like in the internet somewhere, on a Facebook page, how does that entire thing work?
Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you. So, when I was starting this, I was pretty excited about the idea. I wasn't sure how it would be received by everyone else, but I didn't really care about that. I thought the reward was in doing it. So, I reached out to some of the artists that I already knew who had existing work. So, people like Meera Malhotra from Bombay, Bhatchin from Bangalore. I already knew these people. I knew they had been creating posters, and they knew my work also. So I reached out to them. I was like, hey guys, this is something that I want to build out. And I want to know if you think it's a good idea, if you're okay with this. And if you are, then, just I send them like a drive link. Google Drive makes my life a lot easier. And I think it took them about a month, but a lot of people were really kind and they dropped their posters in there for me and they gave me permissions. A lot of these posters are not like created by contract, so the rights of for them belong to the artist because they're the ones who created it. So those are the permissions that I get from them. I never ask them to monetize their work through my platform or anything. I'm very clear that I'm only putting these up for archiving purposes. It is just for someone to come look through and then jump off to maybe other things, other artists and designers. And once I did that, I did my launch in March. And then after that, it was just an open submission link. And even now, it's a Google form. People go there and you just have to fill out a few details about who you are, if you're the creator, what your portfolio is. and then you just upload your posters. This link is still there in our Instagram page also, and I intend to
Mhm.
keep it open as long as possible so that we keep getting posters. And then once you upload them, I have a system where I like catalog them and categorize them. Each post that goes up on the website is categorized by, right now, only two metrics. It's just designer and genre. No, it's just designer and location right now, but I'm working on, like, in the next couple of months, on getting like genres added and dates added too. So you can go to the website and you can click on a menu, see, say maybe pick posters from 2010, and you will see posters just from 2010. Right now you can do that just with location and designer. Especially with
Mhm.
location, I think that turned out to be one of my favorites, because you can see a lot of the small towns also. You can see the kind of gigs that they book. You can sometimes kind of see that it's just one organizer in one small town kind of pulling the scene along. And so
Mhm.
you can do that on the website too. You can go see what posters were created for Chandigarh gigs. You can go see what posters were created for Lucknow gigs. I think a lot of us are like stuck in urban bubbles, so we don't see these, but it's
Mm.
out there. So yeah, I plan on adding more of those filtration systems, genres especially, because it's always interesting to see how the artwork changes depending on the kind of music it is. And while I don't think everything is like set in space, there's definite trends that you can find over there. And then once it's up, I let the artists know, of course. And
Mhm.
I go through a process where I like post them on Instagram so people come check the website out and stuff. But yeah, that's
Nice,
about it.
nice.
It's a very
Yeah,
simple linear process.
yeah. And if I may know, at what point of the collection did people start, like people started submitting automatically? Because uh like if I'm a designer or like an illustrator who has made a poster,
Hmm.
and I stumble upon this, but there are only say five of them,
Hmm.
I might be skeptical to upload, thinking the credibility of things, like
Mhm.
of yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you manage to pursue, or was there any number, like you crossed 100 and then people, it was growing organically? Any trend there which you have learned or spotted?
So I was, like I said, I was lucky enough. Right before I started, I knew some of these people, and they submitted the posters to me. So I think I launched with about 150. So I
Oh,
was pretty
okay.
lucky that when it launched, it looked fairly legitimate. Um, also because I coded it and branded it and everything, but also because
Hmm.
all these people contributed their work to it, and obviously their legitimacy added to it. But at the same time, I'm not like trying to sell anyone anything. This is I'm happy for people to use this as like a Wikipedia, just as like references to other people and other art that they might find. So,
Hmm.
yeah, and sometimes what happens is that there are people who don't submit posters. I come across posters that I find on social media that I really like, and I'm just pushy. I just get in touch with people. I'm like, hey, I run this archive, and I really think you should submit to it. And more often than not, people will submit. If they don't submit, it's just because it's a time issue. That's all. People are happy to see their posters up there.
Nice, nice, nice. And in a real world scenario, what has been the insights as to what happens? I believe there's an article also on joint paper planes, which
Hmm.
where I borrowed this question from.
Hmm.
That what happens to these posters when the gigs are over? So
Hmm.
typically, what do these guys do with it? The either the band or the illustrator. I believe the illustrator must be just creating and getting his commercials done and off, right? Or
Yeah, pretty
is
much.
there any royalty angle to it? Because the shelf life of these posters are not long term, right?
No, no, absolutely not. There's this like really cliched quote that gets shared around a lot about designers, which is that graphic designers create the most beautiful trash in the world. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, like, in a lot of ways, that is true, especially with
Hmm.
posters. I think abroad, people sell posters as merchandise quite often, or the artwork gets put on merchandise. Over here, that's a little rarer. Some bands do it, but a lot of bands just make the poster. Like, the poster is essentially a flyer for a gig. That's it. You're just advertising an event, and then once the event is over, the poster just it doesn't really have anywhere to stay. So most of them will exist on the creator's portfolio or the
Hmm.
band's website. Very few bands have websites that archive their posters. None of them do, in fact. There was one
Hmm.
label I found in Bombay, Bhavishyavani, that had like a their own archive of their own gigs that they've been doing since like the 90s, which was incredible. But otherwise,
Hmm.
bands don't hang on to these either, neither do organizers. So it's just there on some Instagram feed, some portfolio hidden away. And
Hmm. Hmm.
which is the problem that I noticed, because I was like, I know that all of that, there's this huge amount of work that is being put
Hmm.
out for this one very specific purpose, but no one has like a central place to be able to see all of them, to be able to see like the volume that's coming out, the kind of work that's coming out.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah.
And so since you're archiving and everything is seen in one place, I felt like buying few. So what like is there any angle which you've thought like paying the royalty to someone and then selling those, because you have like a backstory with Culture Shop as well,
Hmm.
so people might be willing to buy these ones even if they are not relevant today,
Hmm.
but just for the sheer artwork. So have you come across something like that, or is that something which you're planning to?
And it's not something I'm planning to do at all, because it's something I thought about over this last year. A, because the firstly the permissions are too hard to figure out. While morally the right for all these artworks lie with the creator, at the end of the
Hmm.
day, they've been commissioned and paid for it by an organizer or a venue somewhere, or a brand sometimes. It also has the band's names on it, so technically it is their names that are selling the posters too. So it just looked too complicated a mess to get into. Like for one poster, I would have to run past like 7, 8 people just to get permissions, and I don't think the amount of money that these posters in sales would make for these designers is enough to trouble them with that. But at the
Hmm.
same time, I always encourage them to sell prints by themselves or through like a portal or wherever they need to, because I do agree that people would buy these even with the artist names on them or with the dates and venues on them. I think they're like a nice, like a, it captures like a physical event and a time that happened, you know? And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it's not something I would ever do myself. I encourage the artists to do it, but it's just too much of a logistical headache for me to figure out.
Sure, sure, yeah. And I know, I understand there is just it's just 1 year old, but can you share any like incident or like a small anecdote which is where some people have stumbled upon some artwork and thereby discovered the band, and that the band was revived? Has that happened, or any story which is like very incidental to this kind of documentation, either from an artist exploration standpoint or like the band itself?
Let me think about this for a bit.
Hmm.
Maybe I can come back to this at the end of the recording.
Sure,
Yeah, because
definitely.
I'm trying to think of an
Okay.
incident. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then, are there any domains apart from indie music which you have discovered that there needs to be an archival for that as well? And this is just an idea for someone who's listening and want to start archiving some other stuff.
I mean, I really enjoy archiving all kinds of things, not so
Mhm.
formalized as I have tried to do with this website, but
Mhm.
I'm kind of a hoarder anyway. I have way too many books, way too many souvenirs I collect, so I guess it's that instinct.
Mhm.
It's not very formal, but I guess I collect a lot of flyers. I try to collect a lot of examples of graphic design. I think printed graphic design changes really fast, and it's like I don't even know what format it's going to be in 10, 15 years from now. So
Mhm.
formally, do I collect things? No, but I do think there's a lot of value in collecting like objects of design that will be like souvenirs almost of the past in a few years from now.
Mhm. The thing which I wanted to ask you was
Hmm.
that, like, when I'm doing research for figuring out who should I interview, I
Hmm.
stumble upon different domains, and then just deeper research gives me an insight कि बस इनको भी record करना चाहिए. We should like
Hmm.
probably start a new project altogether, which say probably documents just the tapasya which is done by sportsmen, like a
Hmm.
different discipline altogether.
Hmm.
Similarly, while hunting through or like just scouting for these posters,
Hmm.
have you come across any pattern which like of new things that needs to be archived as well in the poster or the graphic scene?
So I'll tell you what I have noticed in the last couple of years, like even outside of the archive, is that a lot of musicians are thinking more and more about their visuals. Posters are like
Hmm.
almost a static form that are being created now. They're just for promotional use most of the time. But a lot of musicians are using live visuals in their set. They are working with programmers and coders to create visuals that go along with their music. There's a lot of incredible software out there that is being used for this. Now, I'm not much of a coder, so this was
Hmm.
not something that I could dip into, but it was really fascinating to me to see how interdisciplinary a lot of this is. When you go to this website, there's this one band called Sister. It's not a band, it's one guy. He makes like noise music. He also designs his own posters. A lot of musicians design their own posters, which was something that was very interesting to me because uh, it seems like if you're talented and passionate about one aspect of art, it seems to spill over into other aspects too.
Hmm.
So I definitely think like live visuals is where a lot of people are going to be focusing their energy on over the next few years. That is something that people should watch out for. At the same time, there have been much better music videos coming out of the indie scene than there ever have before this. Those can be animated, those are live action, but those are also like doing some incredible feats that had not been done before so far. Like if you know this band called the F16s, they recently worked with this artist called Deepthi to make an animated music video for one of their songs, and it did beautifully because it was done. Animation and drawing has such a personal quality to it that people can't help but be charmed by it, and it did really really well when they launched it. So I'm hoping maybe animated music videos is something that people start pushing more for in the future.
Sure, sure. And okay, so this question is one of my favorite question, which I would like to ask, is that what do these posters tell you? I mean, have you found any pattern of, in fact, if you can tell us
Mhm.
like how far have you gone in archiving these? Is this 10 years, 20 years? And then have you seen any pattern of how the graphic scene itself or the language has changed in the last few decades?
Mhm. Well, yeah. So when the earliest poster I have on the archive is 1997, I think. It's not the earliest I found, but it's the earliest I got permission to post. The earliest I
Hmm.
found was probably from the 70s, but I could not track the people down who created it or even any of the band members. But yeah, so that's how far back it goes. Like I said, these posters have existed as long as bands have existed, and it has changed very much with the visual language that people use of their times, which graphic design always does. So a lot of the earlier 90s stuff I have is like very 90s skater, Beastie Boys. It's very busy. There's a lot of crazy fonts in there, lots of colors. They're not worried so much about harmony. It's about being eye-catching. And then as like the years progress, I will not say it's like a very strong pattern because people still have their own personal preferences. But as the years progress, you can kind of see people learning towards more graphic design, more illustration. I think illustration is really popular now. This guy called Tejas Menon, he's pretty popular. Almost all his posters are created by different illustrators. So he's basically got Meera Malhotra, a designer, to create like a logo of his name, which says Tejas. And so that logo gets replicated across posters. And then on different posters, he just asks different artists to do their thing. And those posters do really well too. People usually want to buy those the most. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say there are some patterns that I see in genres. So this is maybe overgeneralizing, but the metal posters are very monochromatic and more dark. I would say the
Mm-hmm.
singer-songwriter or the indie act posters are usually lighter, more pastel, more fun. There's a property called Sofa Sounds that do a lot of home gigs over across the country. Like they basically do gigs at private spaces inside your house or in a cafe. It's supposed to be intimate, so you can see that the posters created for those actually put out that vibe. They're actually like smaller, more intimate. They're supposed to evoke this feeling of like you sitting in a living room listening to a band with just like a few of your friends. So you do see some of that, and I will not say very strong patterns though. I will say it gets a little bit refined, but ultimately I like that I like how crazy and all over the place it is. Like if you go to the website and you scroll down, it's a crazy mishmash of styles, and like I love that.
Yeah, yeah. Even I was quite fascinated to look at the collection of posters, and there's a very interesting angle to it. So you can actually, if you have more than like say 1,000 or 10,000
Hmm.
of these, then maybe the pattern will start to
Yeah.
emerge on multiple axes. One could be like the same graphic designer or the illustrator who's been doing
Hmm.
for a particular brand, for a particular band, how his or her style has been evolving,
Hmm.
and then at the same time how the band is trying to portray its positioning, or how the band is trying to communicate what they want to do or what they're going to do in their gigs over a period of say like 2 decades. So yeah, there's interesting thing which one can look after.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And in fact, like you pointed out something about individual designers' works changing over the
Hmm.
years, right? So
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think one of the reasons why I can't find a pattern over here is because a lot of these designers and artists use, say, a commissioned gig poster, or if it's an uncommissioned gig poster, they use it as as an opportunity to experiment as much as they can. So either they'll do something that they really love, or they'll do something that they wanted to try out for a while that they never got an opportunity to, because these posters are not very well paid for. Usually they're not paying their bills with these. This is more like a
Hmm.
labor of love for them. This is more like, I love this band, I love music, I want to get a chance to do this. And so they use it to experiment as much as possible. So maybe that's why I don't see a very strong pattern emerging for like throughout the decades, because people want their posters to look different from everyone else's. But you're right, maybe on a long enough timeline, if I get enough posters and enough data, I'll be able to find like some threads going through them.
Yeah, certainly. Okay. And so how has this side project help you as a designer and also as a music lover?
Good question. So as a designer, it's helped me grow and become more organized. I feel it's made me have more faith in general about starting and creating my own projects, because while I built this from like start to finish by myself, on the way I coded a website, I branded the entire property, I collected all these posters, I then formatted them for the website, uploaded them, archived them, whatever, then made a video, put it out, promoted it. But at the same time, none of this could have been possible if like dozens of people did not help me and get excited about the idea and come on board. So that was really important. And it's nice to know that the community in India is happy to get together for something like this. I think sometimes we can feel like we're also busy trying to pay our bills that it can feel like just money is motivating us. But no one was making any money in this case at all. So it was
Hmm.
really heartening to see. I enjoy the idea that our design scene has so much solidarity and so much support for when someone wants to do something, or for when someone wants to share their work. So that was really nice to see. As a designer, it made me go back to a lot of threads of work that I had not done before. I'm not a video editor, I'm not a coder. So, just technically, it was nice to brush up on those things. And obviously, like being exposed to so many posters, so many different styles, makes my work grow better also. I know what I like, I know what I want to try out more. And it's nice to have a community of people who care about something that seems so niche and so small.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, definitely, definitely.
And as a,
And
you said, I was as a music lover also, right?
yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so I've been going to gigs for a while now, like maybe 7, 8 years, and
Hmm.
I especially enjoy live music. I enjoy independent music. I like seeing indie bands in India. I like small bands, and I've while I've always liked them, my love for posters and graphic design happened later. And then I'm because I have varied interests. I always like to have like different I like to have my different interests kind of overlap in some way. This was a very
Hmm.
lucky overlap that I found for myself. And I feel like now, as As a music lover, I would not say much has changed, actually. I would not
Mhm.
say that it has soured my relationship with music or made it worse or anything. I just enjoy it more. I enjoy that there are so many other people out there who know what it feels like to get excited about a band and to want to make art for them and show up for their gigs. So, yeah.
Nice, nice. And since you mentioned that there's no money, I want to conclude with one last question, and have like
Mhm.
a like yeah. So what's the long term future of Indian gig poster archive? I mean, till what plan? Is there any plan to this, or you just want to keep documenting, journaling, and see where it goes? Because if someone asked me about audiogan, I would just say that keep doing it. I don't know till how long, and what's the money aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just for the love of understanding different people. So what's the scene with you?
That's a great explanation, actually. I absolutely like, I get enough joy and reward out of this, just doing this as of now. But I do want to do more with it. I have been trying to find a place to do a physical show for it for a very long time. And I don't want it
Oh,
to be
nice.
like a regular poster exhibit. I want it to be maybe at a live music space. I want there to be music while these are being exhibited, because that's the context that these were created in. It makes zero sense for me to take these out of a gig space and then put it into like a white cubed gallery. Even online, like, I don't think it's the best way to showcase it, but I'm glad that it's the best possible option for me now. But yeah, I would
Hmm.
love to have a physical home for it somewhere. I don't want to
Nice.
sell it ever. I don't want to turn into an e-commerce platform, but it would be absolutely great if I could find a physical place that would host this for a gig or a show or something. So that's something I'm working on, but that will definitely be long term, because there's a lot of things to put in place for that.
Superb, superb. And this one question which I had, and after having this conversation, it's a separate story, but still I would like to ask because what happens is when I'm trying to find out guests or who can potentially come on Audiogan and speak,
Hmm.
suddenly if there's some design event which is happening and I stumble upon that link and
Hmm.
see like some 20 speakers out of which 5 to 10 are resonating, and I can just quickly connect them through say LinkedIn. Or similarly, what happens when you look at like a pile of posters which are just there? Have you found anything something like that in some library? Just 15-20 poster एक साथ दिख गया and you can just imagine, wow, these 15 are just going to go on the website now. Has
Yeah,
that
yeah,
has that sort of a moment? Yeah, yeah.
it does happen sometimes. It's my favorite part of the process, finding something and then getting really excited because I've maybe found it first. So,
Hmm.
for example, this label, so this happens in like a few different contexts. It can happen digitally and it can happen physically. So, I'll tell you
Hmm.
digital first. Digitally, I told you this label called Bhavishyavani Records. So, they've been
Hmm.
doing gigs in Bombay since the 90s. They're a collective of DJs. They're still around. They run a creative agency also, and they still do
Hmm.
gigs. And they used to have the craziest posters. Like one poster that I really, really loved, for example, was a photo of the back of a BEST bus in Bombay. Except, at
Hmm.
the back of the bus, they have like this advertisement, like a banner basically placed on the back of the bus. They photoshopped that entire thing out. That was their poster. So it was just like details of the
Oh.
gig. So I
Hmm.
love that people were having this kind of fun with it. I really enjoyed finding that. It's still up on their website if anyone wants to go check it out. It's a huge archive, and as far as I know, the only other people who have like done the work of archiving their posters. uh,
Hmm.
One other time, I there was this band in India from the 70s called Atomic Forest. I hope I'm getting the 70s right. It might have been, yeah, I think it was the 70s. They used to play at
Hmm.
like not just Jazz by the Bay in on Marine Drive in Bombay, which is now Pizza by the Bay. So
Hmm.
it's like a real old pioneering band, right? A lot of these members I could not get in touch with. They've like moved on to the US. They don't understand why someone sitting back home in India is interested in their history. But I
Hmm.
did find posters from their gigs in the 70s where they would perform in Bombay. And what was really funny for me to find out was that some of these posters were sponsored by Cadbury. So if
Oh,
the
nice.
poster said, if you show up with 1 5-star rapper, then you get this level of seat. If you show up with 3 5-star rappers, then you get this level of seat. And if you show up with 7, then we put you in front row. So
Wow.
that was
Hmm.
really funny to me to see that brands have been trying to ride on the coattails of independent art for like decades at this point. That part has not changed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really, really interesting.
Yeah. And like physically, I enjoy stealing posters as often as I can because I know they just get thrown away in trash. So if I go for
Hmm.
these gigs and there's a poster lying around, if it's on if it's on the walls, I take them. I have about like 7 8 of them lying at home. Maybe that could be part
Wow.
of my physical show. But I would encourage anyone, like if you see a poster and you like it, just take it off the walls because they're just going to throw it away the next year.
Sure, sure. I'll now probably help in some way if I can collaborate. But yeah, it's overall. I think this is a good note to end this. It's really fascinating and what you're doing, and all the best. And yeah, thank you for giving your time.
Thank you so
I
much.
don't know how to conclude these conversations as well. Yeah, it's just like I end up abruptly. But yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I can conclude like my end of it for you guys. Please
Yes.
go see the website, and if anyone knows a physical space that would be great to have a show for this, let me know.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
You can, in fact, follow Mohini on Instagram at the rate Mohini Mukherjee, and the project on at the rate India Gigs Poster Archive on Instagram,
Indian.
and the website is also Indian Gigs Archive Poster.
No, no, wait. Indian Gig
Yeah,
Poster Archive. If you Google
yeah,
it, it'll show up. There's no other
yeah,
website
yeah.
with those terms.
Yes, yeah. Indian Gig Poster Archive.in. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Mohini. It
Thank you
was
so much.
fun talking to you. And yeah, all the best for your project.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
And that's it from today's Gyan session. Catch us on iTunes, Savan, Stitcher, or any podcasting app you use. Do rate us on iTunes and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Stay tuned for more Gyan on audiogyan.com. Till then, bye.
Hello! It's been a great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On This Round is on Me, Gauri is joined by Shweta Nanda. They talk about the financial independence and how it is to be a woman entrepreneur. On Anish Thing, Anish welcomes ultra marathon runner Shivani Gharat. Shivani shares her journey of how she ran her first marathon, the mindset of a runner, and what it actually takes to run a full marathon. On Cock and Bull, Cyrus, Naveen, Akash, and Shreyas talk about the Korean band BTS serving in the military and its repercussions. On Think Fast, Varun and Suchita discuss Wing Greens and their latest acquisitions and about the Indian sexual wellness market. And on Shunyavan, Sheila Datya is joined by Dinika Bhatia, CEO and founder of Nuttigritties. They talk about coming from a business family and Dinika's journey in creating healthy and guilt-free snacking. Once again, don't forget to visit our merch store on ivmpodcasts.com. We have some exciting new merch out there for you. Also, do follow us on social media. We are IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And do remember to spread the word about these shows and any other shows you might be listening to. Appreciate them, rate them, and review them wherever you are listening to them. You can also check out all our other shows on youtube.com/IVM Podcasts. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week. Volvo XC40 Recharge, Bumble, Heads Up for Tails, Kotak Privy League Program, and HDFC Mutual Fund. Thanks guys, without you this would not be possible.
Do you often find yourself surrounded by conversations about Web3, blockchain, NFTs, DAOs? What are these terms and how do they affect our future on the internet? So many questions, but don't worry, we've got answers to all your questions. Hi, I'm Eklavya Bhattacharya, and on our show Future Proofing, we try to decode the impact of these future technologies on various industries with experts and tech enthusiasts. Tune into new episodes coming out every Thursday on the IVM Podcast app and the website, or wherever you get your podcasts from.